There was a time when nations ruled themselves. Today, however, we have a technocratic elite group who preside over many countries and dictate everything that will go on. They intentionally cause a crisis in a country only to capitalize on the failure at a later date. Hang on, it's going to be a bumpy ride. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to look at the turmoil that is being experienced in Italy right now. Let's begin. Italian debt is the second highest in Europe. What you are looking at is the debt to GDP ratio. Italy is at 132%, and Greece is even higher at 179%. We all know what happened in Greece over these past few years, requiring bailouts, and unfortunately, it only gets worse. The Troika has complete control over Greece, dictating all of the policies. Their own government can't decide what happens and why. Well, the trigger or the linchpin was CDS, credit default swaps. Arguably, that's the reason why we saw this crisis really unfolding in Greece. And then they had a solution. Have no fear, we'll come in, we'll dictate all the policies, and we will restructure your debt. And whenever you read restructure the debt, you got to watch out. So what happened was that they were told, you need to clean some stuff up, and we're going to tell you what you need to clean up. As a result of all of this, Greece sold off assets. They sold off islands to the Emir of Qatar so that he could have it for his children. Then they sold off infrastructure, airports, and more. And this only got worse as time went on. Still to this day, nothing has been resolved. Absolutely nothing has been resolved in Greece today in 2018. It's just not in the news. It's not being covered. But I assure you, the problem is still getting worse. You look at Italy with 132% debt to GDP, we have a big problem. But it wouldn't be such an issue if we had seen growth and, fixing of all of the issues that were really in the country at this time. That's not the case. Here you can also see Spain and France trailing behind and also in a terrible situation. So I have a few charts to cover with you today, but just wanted to mention this. So this article here out of the BBC is talking about everything that's happening politically in Italy right now. All right, but I want to focus on what's at the bottom. Slow growth. Forecasts suggest that it would take between 5 and 6 years to achieve the rates of growth that were seen in 2007. And I would assure you, this is not going to happen. You're not going to get that growth. They have so much deflation in Europe, they don't know what to do. The ECB keeps printing money and they cannot create enough inflation. It's not a good sign. And when you think about it, they talk about economic growth in terms of GDP. The GDP is a completely fraudulent statistic, especially in Europe, because they calculated including illicit activity. And they did that specifically because they want their GDP numbers to look better. And that right there shows you how bad this situation really is. All right, so we're going to look at this. Italy's growth lags its peers. Percentage change of GDP per capita. You can see that through all of these 6, that Italy seems to be a little slower than it should. And we're talking about Italy as a country. It's a big country, no matter how you look at it. There is, one of the major powers of the world. It tends to be forgotten, but it's there. And unfortunately, right now, it holds a lot of power behind it that's, if this country falls under its own weight, it's going to be felt all throughout Europe and then all throughout the world. The banks in this country are so weak. They're worse than what was happening during the financial crisis in the US. And that's today. It's only going to get worse. Many Italians work part-time. Does that sound familiar to you? The part-time workers are increasing, and there's a little bit of, topping off and perhaps a lagging here in the full-time workers in terms of how many jobs are created. Part-time workers, though, have no issue here. Lots of part-time. But nobody wants that. They only take it because they can't get anything else. The same situation is going on in Canada, the same situation in the US, and I'm sure most countries around the world. Lots of part-time jobs being created, not enough full-time jobs. Big issues happening in Italy. Their banking system is terrible. Look at this, Italian unemployment rate in 2017. Now, it is typical to see the South having more unemployment than the northern regions. That is how it is in general. However, there are many areas that have experienced higher than normal unemployment rates. And you look at youth unemployment, it's terrible. Look at the same statistic in Greece, look at the same statistic in Spain. You're getting the same idea that we have a lot of unemployment, particularly with the youth. Italy's new problem, population is at risk of poverty. Look at this here. We have a big problem. It's happening to millions of people. And what I would say is that a lot of individuals here are relying on what the government gives them. I'm not even focusing on Italy. It doesn't matter where you look. If they have a pension, maybe it's something like a social security, maybe it's just some sort of disability insurance, whatever it is. That's their lifeline. If they lose the lifeline, they're done. They're finished. And that's how I know we are right at the edge of a crisis. Statistic after statistic keeps piling up, showing us that. So when we hit the next crisis, it's not going to be a stock market recession that's going to affect a few jobs in the financial industry. We're talking about a major catastrophe. Flat tax, the next goal for Italian politics, higher personal income tax rate. This is their genius plan in every case. What do we do to fill the void that we have? We need more money. What do? Oh, I got an idea. Let's tax people. Oh, no, that's not politically, that's not going to be good. Let's not tax this. Let's tax that. Oh, that's right. Good idea. Great idea. Yeah. That's what they do. They just find the place to increase taxes. Maybe one time it's on your gasoline. The next day it's on your food. The next time it's on your income tax or your property tax. Just, pile it on. No problem. No problem. You don't have to worry about it. It's shocking. Shocking to say the least. The return of Made in Italy, production and exports percentage change. This is very interesting to me. In fact, since the financial crisis, it seems like their exports have increased. I was surprised by this. Of course, industrial production not doing good in general. Exports, however, seem to be increasing. So that might be some positive news, something that I definitely need to research further. Now, just going to show you these two articles. This is from last year, I believe. As Europe's politicians digest the lessons from Italy's recent 17 billion euro bailout of the two Venetian banks, two schools of opinion have emerged. The majority view is that the bailout at least brought greater financial stability to Italy. And then at the bottom, there's the German view. German politicians appear to be competing with one another who can sound the most outraged. And essentially, they said, we wanted no taxpayer money used, but it doesn't matter. When a bank fails, there's no way for them to fix the problem. They have to just take money from people. Whether they're taking it in a form of taxation, whether they're doing a bail-in, it doesn't matter. They're going to take it from somebody. They're not just going to fix the issue and come up with the money on their own. They have to take it from us. Well, there's more in here, but essentially, I just wanted to show you the fact that bank failures are not something that you read about in history. And people, anytime you talk about a bank failure, people are thinking, wheelbarrow, the image of the wheelbarrow being used to heat people's homes and stuff. That happened and might happen again someday, but I'm talking about bank failures occurring today. They're happening all the time. They happened in 2008. They happened this year. They happened last year. They happened 10 years from now. They're going to always happen. It's always going to happen. But understand that you could be affected by any one of these, even if you don't bank with that particular institution. And then you look over to Spain. Spanish banking giant Santander paid €1 to acquire Banco Popular after the struggling lender was deemed to be near collapse. You remember this? I covered it on the channel. And essentially we had right around that same time frame, in fact. Similar situation. Bank is failing. What do we do? Well, okay, this big bank is going to take over this other big bank. And you see the crisis that emerges and the solution that the conglomerates get bigger and bigger. Guys like Warren Buffett get these special insider deals when they bail out Bank of America, when they get bailout money, Wells Fargo, when they decide to buy into something at the right time and they happen to get a nice cut of the profit. They end up being able to buy assets for pennies on the dollar. And this goes on all around the world, but Europe right now is definitely where we need to focus our attention. So I'll leave it there. Keep your eyes on what's happening in Italy right now, because I'm seeing this financial system weakening really, really bad. But let us not forget Spain as well. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And I know that you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. If you go over to Amazon, there's a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.